Good morning. It is the 20th of January. It is time for Shooting the Breeze. I'm your host, TakersMinion. I'm joined as always with my loyal co-host, the man from the rising sun, Mr. Dr. Senju. Good morning, Senju-san.
Hello. Good
Uh,
morning. Well, it is morning, January
that's
21st.
for you.
My end anyway.
Yeah.
My end anyway.
Damn date.
I am I am good. How are you, good sir?
I'm well. I'm tired because I worked all night.
Yeah. How many
Besides
coffees
that,
did you sip today?
I've had 4.
4. Is it enough?
It'll get me through.
Sure. And then afterwards you're gonna have to go back to sleep again.
Oh,
It's like
I'll be taking something to go to sleep and I'll be out.
Yep. Basically, I'm waking the slumbering giant and then poking him back to sleep again. And all matters of work. So,
And we're joined this morning with a man who is undoubtedly happy and sad about his Cleveland Browns,
oh my God.
Mr. Adam Rice. Good morning, Adam.
Good morning, TM. Good morning, Senju-san. I hope the future is looking much brighter on your end of the world than it is here.
Future is cold. The future is cold.
Yes, my Cleveland Browns did go 0-16, but hope springs eternal, and so does the bottom of my bourbon glass.
Now, do you think they're going to draft a quarterback? And if they draft a quarterback, are they going to pick the right one?
Wow, those are 2 loaded questions.
Of course.
In my opinion, they have to draft a quarterback at number 1. For 20 years, this team has kicked the can down the road, mostly when it comes to the quarterback position. So when you have the very first selection and all of your options in front of you, I think you have to take a quarterback. Will they get it right? Well, that depends on the prospect and the team you put around him. I'm here to tell you there's not a lot of confidence in that second part.
No, there isn't.
It's going to come down to the evaluations. I have quarterbacks I like coming in this year, but
how come I get the feeling Baker Mayfield is not one of them?
He's actually my favorite.
Oh no!
The one who planted the flag at the horseshoe is your favorite.
Yep. You hate the guy during the season, and when it's come to time to evaluate who's better for your pro team, you have to put that kind of vanity stuff aside.
Okay, so what you're saying is this: as a teammate, you would love him, but as an opponent, you can't stand him.
Exactly.
Basically, he's a valuable ally, but a worst enemy.
Yes. Yes. To me, he's the best quarterback coming out in this class. But I could wax on forever about that, but this is a wrestling podcast.
Hey, go ahead. Do whatever you want. We can talk about that for about 15 to 20 minutes.
Sure.
Then we can start cracking on stuff. I mean, whoa.
Well, to me, just my brief look at him is that when you look at him, you immediately think of another Browns quarterback that was about under 6 foot tall and
Johnny Manziel.
Yeah, that one.
How the hell do I even know his name as well?
Drug busts.
That man never met a pile of coke he didn't like. But allegedly.
That's right.
Allegedly.
But Baker's a much more accurate passer. He showed in his system at Oklahoma that he had the ability to read defenses, adjust his offense, make hot read throws, be accurate with the football, and not make many mistakes. To me, if you're able to show those traits in college, even in a spread offense, it should translate to the pros. It may take you a second to keep up the speed of the game, but once you figure that out and you show those and you display those traits, hopefully those traits carry.
Right.
So that's my dime store my dime store evaluation.
Yeah, sure. I mean, just a quick note: who would you prefer, Johnny Manziel to carry your team still, or would you just cut the cord?
Johnny's good where he's at, which is in Canada.
Which that might open the door for him to get back, though.
Yeah.
Somebody will take a flyer on him.
If he knuckles down and do his job, then yeah.
If he's able to prove that he is not as immature as he has shown himself to be, gets himself away from the booze and the other substances, and knuckles down and shows that he's willing to put in the work at that position, because at that, you're the leader of your team, and if you're not willing to put in the work, then everything else is, I don't care how talented you are.
Right.
50% of that is film and study and understanding what you're looking at when you look across at the other side of the field. Johnny never did that.
Right. You heard who Mel Kiper has going to him, right?
Yeah, Josh Allen out of Wyoming. He's a good-looking kid. He's 6'5", 240. Has a gun for an arm, just an absolute cannon. His issue, though, is he has never displayed the accuracy in college that you're going to need to be in the pros.
Right.
And if there's one trait that if you don't have it going in, you're not going to have it, and that's accuracy. 2 years ago, he had an NFL caliber running back and an NFL caliber wide receiver on his team. And he performed worse with those players than he did this year's without that kind of talent. He did better this year without NFL talent than he did with NFL talent. To me, that screams someone who has there are inherent issues there. But if you're drafting Josh Allen number 1, you're drafting him for the sole potential that frame and those traits you hope he has manifest themselves in the NFL.
Right. Well, the difference between Josh Allen and Baker Mayfield is Baker Mayfield's 23 years old.
Right. Baker Mayfield's an adult.
Yeah, he's done some very immature shit, but
at least he learns. At least he learns from the mistakes. He strives not to do it again.
For now, I mean, we'll see. I mean, guys like that tend to have short memories. What the problem with that, though, is you forget the last time you went and stepped in something.
Yeah.
So there's always that fear of that you're going to step in something again and you're going to cause some, issue. But I don't see his issues as being as severe as Johnny or a quarterback like TM's familiar with Jim McMahon. Who,
mediocre quarterback on a mediocre offense with a dominating defense that won it all in '85.
Right, but Jim McMahon had his share of issues off the field. If Jim McMahon played quarterback today, he'd be on the headline of TMZ every week.
Yeah, he would.
So
he sure liked his drink. Well, I'll tell you that much.
Fair enough. Well,
he did. So tell me how the hell he got into BYU.
You'd be surprised how much the Mormons drink out there.
You know what? You're probably right.
Because they're told for. Let's put it this way: this is not a knock on the religion. This is a known fact. This is a religion that doesn't even teach sexual education to their children.
Interesting.
I couldn't tell by the show Sister Wives. Couldn't tell.
Well, you know what a BMW is, right?
Oh God, no.
Should I even say?
Well, I know BMW is a
big Mormon wagon. With a big Mormon wagon, i.e., suburban. After they get married, their job is to fill it up.
Oh, that's so not right.
Oh, God.
Funny, but not right.
Oh God, that's so morbidly funny. So morbidly funny.
Big Mormon wagon. Yep.
All right. On that note, we need to transition to something.
Let's step off into
more ridiculousness in the news, I guess.
no. Let's start off with something serious. Something
Okay.
that I retweeted on the 18th. The Boston University study that details the strongest link, yet that repetitive hits to the head, not just those that can produce a concussion, can lead to CTE.
Aha.
That caught my attention when I saw it come out. And I went and read the article, and yes, football, hockey, professional wrestling, amateur wrestling, soccer, anything that has to do with the head. They need to look at that because, look at Pittsburgh. They got Siggy Crosby, right?
Uh-huh.
He's going to have issues.
Okay.
Because he's had several concussions where he's lost half to 3/4 of a season from it.
Yep.
Look at Daniel Bryan in WWE. Cleared by 20 doctors in the country, but Dr. Maroon would not clear him. He didn't, because of the seizures. He's already into having seizures. Look at what happened to the quarterback, Savage, this year.
Yeah.
He got concussed really bad and stayed in the game.
Not only did he get concussed, but he's had a seizure on the field.
Right after he got concussed.
Immediately. It was instantaneous. He had a seizure on the field. They took him out and put him back in. After he tried to cover up vomiting up blood.
Mm-hmm.
What the Boston University study shows, and as we keep going down this path of trying to figure out the causes and how we can prevent CTE, the ramifications of these studies is going to be wide-ranging, and it's going to affect sports we all enjoy.
Yeah.
From football, like you said, to hockey, amateur and pro wrestling, soccer, MMA, boxing.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's going to affect it all.
Boxing.
Basically,
boxing's already having issues. With this CTE stuff. We may see boxing disappear.
Yeah.
I don't see that.
Maybe.
The queen sport, I don't see. No.
Maybe. But basically, it would majorly affect every single contact sport that we know of.
Rugby,
any kind of contact sport.
Right. Rugby, Australian rules football.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we just last week saw what a bad bump can do to a 25-year-old girl.
That was an accident.
It was an accident.
Yeah. It was an accident, and if you listened to the show last week, I don't put the blame on anybody but her parents having her taking bumps at 12.
I put the and I heard that, and I'm right there with you. I put the blame on the parents and the road agent who allowed that spot to happen.
They had done it on Raw, though.
I know, but
it was just one of those. It was just a touch too high, and it cost them. That's all it was.
So
Paige was too close.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
but like I said, I'm sorry, MBS.
Go ahead.
What we just saw what a bad spot could do in that situation. If we have to worry about every time an opponent's had a worked punch, theoretically could cause the brain to move around into your skull, and then 10 years down the line, you don't know what room you're in. So professional wrestling is going to have to start to figure out what the game plan is. Because the more these reports come out, the more it's going to look like, well,
Any impact type sport is going to be affected by this.
Yeah.
And that was something that was interesting that came up. Oh God, I was we all know that I like to watch Mike and Mike's. Mike Golick and Mike Greenberg. Well, they're no more now. They got Golick and Wingo,
right?
Which is still Mike Golick and Trey Wingo from ESPN. And I think it was 3 weeks ago. A question was brought up. Somehow it was in an article. I think it was from Boston University again. I'm not sure. Is that they asked 100 football players that if there was a test available right now that would tell you whether or not you have CTE or you can get it, would you take it? 78% of them said no. For the fear, just based on fear.
For the fear of what? They know
that they have it and there's really nothing they can do. It would affect their career and the way they play the game.
Yeah. Of course.
Would it force some of them would it make some of them retire? I'm more than likely. You look at that genius that played for the Ravens, I think. That one kid who retired at the beginning of this year because he said he wanted to protect his brain.
Same thing happened with one last year, but the year before, Chris Ballard, who was a second-year linebacker out of Wisconsin who was drafted to the 49ers, he abruptly said, I'm done. I don't want the 23 years old. His career had just started, and he retired as he was afraid of what this game could do to his brain.
We're going to start seeing more of that now, I think.
Yeah. I mean, it all depends on how people react to the news about CTE, whether they take more precautions against head trauma or potential head trauma or not. It's something like that. I mean, I would put on a more realistic path that they're still going to do some research about this and see whether they can avoid or minimize the whole thing. But it's there. If the report is
like you said.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
No, because I thought I'm in belief that if this happens, then you'd have to find ways to either minimize or stop potential head trauma. That's it. That's all on my point. What are you going to say?
We've already seen steps taken by wrestling to minimize this. You don't see steel chair shots to the head anymore, thank God. You're not seeing kendo sticks even to the head anymore. Not only just for the CTE, obviously, but for the blood aspect of that.
Which Taker loves, but hey,
right.
Color.
But my question now becomes, as more and more studies are done, in professional wrestling, I'm sorry, you can't stop your brain moving in your head.
Yeah.
Because you're doing up downs, you're taking flat back bumps, you're getting shot off the rope, forearm to the face, neck. I mean, good God. Go back and watch Suzuki Goto from Wrestle Kingdom 12. And
you're talking to someone in this panel was there live, so he would know.
I mean, right.
Go ahead.
You look at something like Suzuki Goto from Wrestle Kingdom 12, those guys got CTE in the locker room after that match.
Well, Legends Lover's right. Look at NASCAR auto racing, for instance.
Yep.
This past season was the last full-time season for Dale Earnhardt Jr. The season before, or the 2 seasons prior, the last 2 seasons before this one, he missed 5 races at the end of the year in 2015. He missed about half of the races in 2016 from concussion issues, that he wasn't recovered from the concussion he had gotten at Kansas in 2015. And this year, before the season started, he said he was retiring from full-time racing because he doesn't want to go through the concussion stuff anymore.
Yeah,
He's 40 years old. He just recently got married. He wants kids.
Yeah.
He wants to be there for his kids. I don't blame him. He was my favorite driver, but, life goes on. I knew eventually he was going to have to retire.
Yeah.
At least he's not, at least it's not happening to him what happened to his father.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's what I was getting ready to say.
Okay.
Remember what it took for NASCAR to finally put safety implications for the head and neck?
The Hans device, yes.
It took them losing their most famous and popular driver at Daytona.
In an accident that he should have walked away from normally.
Right.
He had to 100 times before.
Uh-huh.
And it took NASCAR losing Dale Sr. for them to go, okay, we need to make changes. And on the same side of that coin, look what it took for us to finally start looking into the CTE. We had NFL players committing suicide.
Junior Seau
drove his car off a cliff.
No, he shot himself in the chest. He shot himself in the chest.
Well, wasn't it while he was driving?
No, he didn't drive his car off a cliff. He just shot himself in the chest at home.
Okay, I'm trying to remember which one it was that.
I think cases. Suddenly about cases of the NFL where ex-football players or even current football players are doing crazy stuff that you don't imagine a sane person would do, like committing suicide, which possibly leads them to commit suicide or taking other people's lives and do all that kind of shit. Yeah.
Well, prime example, Chris Benoit.
Yes.
That's for wrestling, yeah.
Then that's the biggest example from wrestling is here's a guy whose brain had literally atrophied from concussions, steroid use, among other things, to the point where he was a psychopath.
He had the mentality of an 80-year-old man with dementia.
I mean, but here's a question though. Up to what point would we consider that person to be unsafe for work in any kind of condition, not just wrestling?
I think the second that you're starting to see personality changes, the issue with CTE is you don't know that you have it until you're dead.
That's right. That's the problem.
And that's going to be the next step for these researchers. Developing a test for CTE while you're still a living, breathing person so we can figure out what to do.
Right.
So, people are up in arms about Daniel Bryan not being cleared by Dr. Maroon, and I understand their feeling because I'd like to see Daniel Bryan again that ring again too. But you do not mess with the brain.
No.
Of course not.
And if one doctor says you can't do it, then by God, you can't do it.
And that's the doctor that matters the most right now.
Right.
And then Daniel Bryan had a different test that actually showed him that his reaction times are slower, and all the stuff that some kind of a test. And now I have to give credit to WWE. They are using that test as the baseline. They're using that same test on all their people.
Yeah.
Which that's fantastic. That's great.
The
NFL needs to use it.
Yeah. The NFL, well, that's what you're saying. The NFL is going to be forced to use it after these lawsuits. Yeah. They're going to have to figure out something because they're paying out the ass on it. The multi-billion-dollar lawsuit. Because did they know something before we knew something? Possibly.
Yeah, correct.
But
if that happens, the way I see it, I think, in my opinion, if that happens, it could actually visibly change the whole entire landscape of any kind of contact sport. Then companies would have to start thinking of ways to really avoid causing CTE and doing anything that can cause CTE in the first place. I mean,
Well,
not just for
I think
wrestling
it's
where they
his-
protect the head. For NFL, they have to
It's
create
his-
better protection for the head. All that.
It's hysterical to me. We're in the CTE era of contact sports, yet Vince McMahon wants to bring back the XFL.
I don't think it'll be the same.
I don't think it's going to be an XFL in the first place. We don't really know what's going to happen.
Yeah,
But I don't see Vince's.
And Square Circle Podcast, you're right. Bringing up Benoit is a very, very polarizing thing amongst the fandom of WWE and wrestling in general.
Uh-huh.
For what he did,
Right.
okay, for what he did. I do not say that, his having CTE or all the stuff that was wrong with his brain gives him a pass. I don't say that.
Uh-huh.
I'm saying that's a symptom of what he had. That's all it is a symptom. What he did is a symptom of a bigger problem. I've said that for years. It's like my opinion on the O.J. Simpson trial, which is another polarizing thing. I always believed in innocent until proven guilty, and LAPD screwed up a lot of things, and it cost them.
Uh-huh.
So there's that too.
I think where we're at now, and I think we could almost leave it here, unless there's something else you guys like to add, is where we are today and where we were yesterday, or essentially we're still in the same spot regarding CTE. We have this new study that's going to be thrown on top of another study. It's going to be thrown on top of another study, and we're still years away from truly figuring out what CTE is doing to the brain. But I think sports like the NFL, the NHL, professional wrestling, and all the others need to be proactive. You can't wait for all the studies to come out and to say, oh, we didn't know. No, you had an idea. Let's start being proactive so that way we're seeing less incidents of Daniel Bryan and what happened with him. And so we can keep these athletes alive.
And we're not seeing the Tom Savage incidents on the field anymore.
Exactly.
Oh, and Madeline, our friend, she brought up a good point. A point, actually. So, Junior So drove his car off the cliff in 2010, 19 months before his suicide. CTE was already showing up at that point.
Yeah. You're right. He did drive his car off the cliff, but that's not what killed him.
Yeah, he only sustained minor injuries. Yeah, he only sustained minor injuries on the.
But that was the red flag.
Yeah,
that should have been a red flag. But then again, that's the issue. We could have all the signs in the world and not see it.
Yeah, I mean, like I said back then, what should we do in order to prevent, and how do we detect it? It's still up in the air. Number one.
Well, think about it for a second. A former wrestler has started what is known as the Brain Institute. He wrestled for WWE as Chris Harvard.
The National Center for Traumatic Brain Center.
It's something like that. But he wrestled as Chris Harvard. I can't remember his real name, but I remember him.
No, actually, he wrestled.
Christopher what? Lubinski? Yeah, that's him.
Nowitzki.
That's him. That's him. And he suffered a concussion while wrestling back in what, the 90s? Early 2000s?
He was early 2000s when he got.
He was a tough enough competitor.
He was. He
won.
Yeah.
He didn't win, but
he was in that first season with Maven, I believe.
You're right. That's correct. But he started that whole thing up after he was concussed. So they've had a lot of years. They've had a lot of years now. And he speaks very, very strongly on it. And it was his foundation or institute that examined Chris Benoit's brain and found what was wrong. Yep. They also did the same thing with Junior Seau.
They did.
So there is precedence out there. There is documentation that this is real.
And yet, the taking action of it is slow, basically.
it's slow. The taking action on it is slow because we just don't know. We know what's happening, but we
It's
don't
just
know.
that we don't have a definitive way of preventing it. That's it.
Exactly. So, like I said, we're a little bit closer to today than we were yesterday, but we're still kind of in the same spot.
Yeah, because like I said, we don't have any definitive way of preventing CTE, Holly. We only have ways of minimizing the whole thing, or just slowing down the symptoms, if you want to call it like that. Yeah. So yeah, basically, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things that that is going to be all muddled up if they're going to open up the CTE issue yet again. Because I mean, it's going to affect everyone. Almost every contact sport that we know and love is going to be affected by it. And
it has to be.
Yeah, and thinking about that, if that's going to be of any issue, what happened if that's going to be an issue for big companies? What about small independent companies who do stuff contact sport? Independent wrestling could be affected as well.
Right.
It just unfortunately in contact sports, concussions are unavoidable. You can do everything you can to prevent it, but they're not unavoidable.
There's going to be that. So basically, yeah.
I mean, the NFL is considering bringing in the college football rule of targeting.
I agree with the sentiment, but not the practice.
Because, I mean, all the receiver, quarterback, anybody has to do is lower their head enough, get hit in the head, and that player is going to be ejected. It's too vague on how it's enforced. It could be totally by accident, but the player is going to be ejected for it.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, with something like that, I agree with the sentiment and the institution.
Yeah, I just don't see it working in the NFL. It's really not working in college, to be perfectly honest with you.
No, because they're screwing that up too. From a gameplay and replay perspective.
And we're now in a time where, football season's coming to an end. All that, and now the big issue out there, the two big issues out there is who's going to be in the NBA Finals and Major League Baseball putting a 20-second pitch clock on. Give me a break. Are people today that shallow?
Yes.
That's sad. That's a sad state. That's a sad state of affairs for mankind as a whole.
Can't say much about it. This is what's going to happen. This is what's happening. Not just
as long as
as long as some of us have,
as long as there's people are still deriving enjoyment from it, put up your pitch clocks, put up your whatever. I don't particularly, it doesn't bother me because these sports have to evolve with the time. It's something we're seeing WWE not doing. WWE feels very stale when it comes to some of these other sports who are trying to evolve and trying to entice people to come in. If a 20-second pitch clock means you're in and out in 2 hours and 45 minutes, and you had a good time with your family, and you have more part of your day to spend with them, by all means.
True. Uh-oh, your audio is acting up there, Adam.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, we do.
I didn't hear it for a second. It's like it's behind on him all of a sudden.
Yeah, I can hear my own echo too.
And I mean,
and Zed, I don't know how you can respect Baron Corbin because he was already part of the multi-million-dollar, $100 million lawsuit with the NFL, and he's also involved with the one in WWE. Hence the reason his Money in the Bank contract was so botched. He pissed off Vince, and Vince said, "Fine, you want to play that game? Here, you're going to lose your Money in the Bank."
Well, my first question with that was, and as always, is that, and from a WWE perspective, how did you not know one of your own employees, independent contractors, were involved with the NFL lawsuit?
They should have known.
Like,
No.
I'm sorry. I don't have a problem with Baron Corbin standing up in the middle of a meeting asking these questions. Because, like I said before, the brain is not something to screw with.
Oh, I know it isn't, but we know Vince has the ultimate say on it, whether your career is a boom or a bust.
Speaking of CTE, Vince McMahon, I mean, good Lord, that man started taking chair shots in his mid-40s.
Who knows whether he has CTE now?
Probably does.
And yet his mood never changed from being insane.
But that's from all the cocaine in the 80s.
Yeah.
That we know of. That we know of.
I would say allegedly, but I feel kind of confident on that.
I'd say allegedly because I don't feel confident on that either. Anyway, I mean, the awareness of CTE, all jokes aside, the awareness of CTE getting more and more widespread is good. It's just that, like you said, Adam, we've taken a step further, but yet it feels like we're in the same spot still.
Mm-hmm.
It's good that we have this kind of reports, these kind of research being done, just adding proof and more proof among other test results that has been proven already. It's just that it feels that we're still going to argue on the same boat while the boat just travels around circles. That's just about it.
Mm-hmm.
Just basically going around in circles, doing nothing in particular.
We'll get there eventually.
Eventually, but we have to see when. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Well, let's move along to something else. This is getting depressing.
We're slowly getting depressing because, well,
Yeah. Well, let's talk about what happened last Sunday morning.
Last Sunday morning, sure.
When in Texas, Jey Uso was allegedly, and I'm air quoting here, allegedly driving under the influence of alcohol in South Texas. Was arrested and I believe charged.
Okay.
So if he blew a .08, he blew a .08. There's no way around it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's flat out. Basically, it's just how am I supposed to? It's done and dusted already. I think you do something wrong.
It still has to be adjudicated, but I mean, you know.
Well, he'll still have to go to court, and
right. Some states require jail time. I don't know how Texas laws are.
Yeah, I have to dig into it, but yeah, he had to do time. But considering the fact that with his gimmick, it's ironic that his gimmick is somewhat street thuggish in a way, and he's gonna get street cred just for getting into jail for doing time, which is so ironic in a sense.
Gimmick aside, first things first. Don't drink and drive.
Exactly.
Just don't.
I'm sorry.
I think the message is clear. I think the message is clear.
And I wish I could say that I've never done it. I have.
We all have. I've done it.
Stupid for doing it. Stupid for doing it, but I've done it.
You're lucky you got home in one piece and didn't get caught.
Exactly. Don't drink and drive. But especially don't drink and drive when you millions of dollars on the line.
Yep.
Well, yes.
I mean, imagine if it was worse. Imagine if he careened off the road. And
what if he didn't kill the family?
Exactly.
Of course.
He is a high-level athlete. He should know better.
He should.
Not because he's a role model. Screw that. That doesn't bother me. What bothers me is that you're not having the foresight for your own self. Idiot family. to not do that. Who knows what it could do to his push as a member of the Usos?
Uh-huh.
Have on potentially Naomi.
Uh-huh.
I mean,
I don't think that he's gonna be punished just because, but
I mean,
people have been people in WWE have been punished for something much more trivial, like getting married.
Yes, that's true. But
yes, I know.
Yeah.
But, and I know this is professional wrestling.
Mm.
The history of this sport in drunk driving
is known. It's well known.
Is well known.
And it's not good.
Hacksaw Jim Duggan had his whole WWE push derailed because of the Jersey Turnpike. He's driving along, drinking a beer like he's always done when he was working down in Mid-South.
Mm-hmm.
And he drove past a cop, and he waved at the cop. The cop pulls him over like, what are you doing?
Don't forget the incident of him and Iron Sheik riding together.
Right, I think it was the same incident where they're just doing what they had always done back in the territory, up in New York, and laws in the North apparently were a little bit more strict, I guess,
at that time.
But here, and think of the conditions they were in. They were driving on a highway, drinking.
Open containers. They had pills, cocaine, marijuana in the car. Hello.
Oh, and let's not forget, everybody. This is the early 80s?
Early 80s, early 90s.
Early 80s, right.
When did the seatbelt get into the car?
Around late 80s, early 90s.
So they were potentially had no seatbelts.
Mm-hmm.
That was a literal death trap. So
I'm saying I'm giggling because, I'm from the generation that, me as a kid standing up in the back seat, riding around in the station wagon in the back with no seatbelts on. We didn't wear seatbelts back then in the 70s. 60s and 70s. We didn't wear them.
And it was nothing for someone to get off work, stop at the convenience store, pick up a sixer, and drink it on the way home.
Right.
That was a part of...
Hell, I used to watch my dad drink beer driving down the road in our van when I was a kid. Okay?
So, I mean, that's how far we've come to the point where we now understand that drinking and driving is a big no-no. So, go
ahead.
I hope this never happens again.
Of course.
But it probably will with some wrestler.
Right.
Some other wrestler. But I think
they speak specifically to him. If he does this again, bounce his ass. There's no excuse in 2018 making the money you make. Get an Uber.
Yeah, no shit. Uber's around. Uber, Lyft, whatever. There's several of them now.
Sure.
I mean, if all else fails, get on Instagram Live. Say, "Hey, I'm
drunk.
I'm drunk. I'm here. I need a ride." Somebody will come get you.
And I'm sure WWE has a car service a lot like the NFL does.
Of course.
Call someone.
Because, he's a tenured employee. He needs to. He's an important member of the company.
He's not just
your audio is cutting out terribly.
Who, me or Adam?
Adams. I don't know why.
I mean, I'm listening fine over here.
I don't hear him.
Really?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now, but I can see sometimes your lips moving, but I don't hear anything.
Oh. I'll try to keep. I think it's the vocal. I'll try to keep my voice under control. But
sure. But yeah, I mean, I think the biggest message is don't drink and drive. If you still want to drink responsibly. Just don't drive after you drink. It's just too dangerous. You're just risking your life. You're just risking other people's lives. What happens afterwards is out of your control.
It only takes one mistake,
Mm-hmm.
in the lives you could potentially ruin,
Including his own.
Would haunt himself, his family, his employer for years to come.
Uh-huh.
Don't let it happen again. I'm sorry. You only get one. You only get one.
And thank God nothing happened. Nothing bad happened in this one.
Right.
So, yeah.
You know, my wife brings up she has zero tolerance on that.
Mhm.
Having lost she says 19, I believe he was 18 or 19. He had just graduated high school and was in a car with some friends, and the driver was the soberest one of the bunch. Although he had been drinking, they got in an accident. He was killed.
Sorry for her loss.
So,
I mean, it serves as a lesson. Don't drink, drive under the influence. Just don't. I mean, there's not much you can do that you can control when your senses are inhibited. Number one.
And
go ahead.
And I'm not saying he's not allowed. I'm not. Sorry, guys. I'm not saying he's not allowed to go out and have a good time. I'm not saying you're not allowed to have a few drinks after you just busted your ass in a 25-minute match on a house show somewhere.
right.
What I'm saying is you need to be smarter. We've just now reached a point in wrestling history where it doesn't feel like someone's dying every week.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah.
Let's try to keep it that way.
I mean, during the summer, everybody thought we were going to lose Ric Flair. There for a while, it looked like we were going to lose him. I'm glad to see he kicked out and he's doing better.
But so it's like I said, there are steps that you can take to prevent that. Please take those steps next time, and you live and learn.
Be smart. That's all. That's
Yep.
Use the sense God gave you, and everybody's got it. But a lot of people don't use it.
Yep.
Agreed.
Okay. So this morning when I was cruising through CSS,
Sure.
I found the interesting fan post that it's titled "What Happened to the Despicable, Detestable Villain in Pro Wrestling."
That article.
Yes, and that's posted by We Are Living Single 93, and I read it, and he's right. What's happened? We don't have that kind of true villain, true heel anymore.
I'll take a stab at it.
Go for it.
Time. Society. Heels are not allowed to be the detestable overindulge, because we have reached a point where and society has changed and wrestling has changed. A cool heel can make more money in merch and in booking than a guy who you just detest. Even if you still want to see that guy get the crap picked out of him, that guy isn't making as much money and is going to probably get killed on social media for saying something insensitive.
Well, we already have that type of a character right now. Jinder Mahal.
There you go.
But the thing with Jinder was, though, he wasn't. Yes, he was being a detestable heel, but it was the inherent racism.
Exactly.
And that kind of stuff doesn't fly. like, and just this week on the flip side, the babyface AJ Styles kind of made a fat joke about Kevin Owens on SmackDown, and it's like, well, you're the babyface. Why are you making fun of somebody? And then people go, and I know people will jump up and say, well, what about The Rock? What about Austin? What about
different time? Complete different time.
Different time, different talent.
Different era altogether.
You know,
so what you're basically getting at, Adam, is this, and I'm not trying to cut you off here, but I'm sensing a theme of society today has become so politically correct that we can't have the despicable and detestable heels anymore, because those types of guys will cut the racist promo, will make the fat jokes, will say whatever they need to say to get the heat on them.
And it's a part politically correct culture, which I don't know if there's a better term for it. And it's a part also with what we're seeing, at least on the big level, the WWE. I don't know if they can write a detestable heel.
Which is exactly one of my points that I wanted to bring out. I mean, here's the thing. It's not. I think the argument being said that where are they gone? It's not really one major factor. It's just a number of factors, number of small things that overlap. It's just like one bullshit to the other bullshit to the other bullshit that killed the whole thing. I mean, one of them you already told me. WWE just lost its edge with creating characters, creating compelling heels. It's either their classic villain tropes have disappeared, and the only thing that they can fall back to are, well, using stereotypical things to elicit a reaction, which is a bad thing altogether. And things and go ahead.
You just said that, and I remember. I don't remember. I've watched.
Okay.
Guys like Piper and Flair and these Jake Roberts, these masterclass heels.
Yep.
Get over simply by saying they don't like somebody. I don't like the way you look. I don't like the way you dress. I think you're not as good as me.
Prime example.
I'm going to
Adam. Prime example. I've got a perfect example for you. Ric Flair, Dusty Rhodes.
The Playboy versus the plumber's son. That ultimate those promos never devolved into Ric Flair just saying, Dusty, you're fat.
The thing about it was that Dusty would say, my belly may be a little big, my honey may be a little big.
But brother, I'm all bad.
That's right. That's right. He would do it to himself. That would diffuse the whole thing.
Yeah, self-deprecating himself. Yeah.
I think what hurts professional wrestling today is that there's no
compelling heel. Is that what you're gonna say?
Well, there's no compelling heel. The most compelling heel in professional wrestling today, at least in the North America.
Sure.
Sorry, TM, it's The Miz.
I know that.
Okay, I'll add a couple more examples. Compelling heels would be The Miz. I'd say Samoa Joe, because he made the.
Is Samoa Joe compelling because he's a heel, or is it because he's just a badass?
I think the argument being is that generally he is a badass who doesn't give a shit. So he just kicks ass and just.
Look at when Samoa Joe was gone, right? And the night he came back, everybody's he got a face pop, all this stuff, and they're welcome back. And what did he do? He killed it. He went out there and said, "I could care less if you guys missed me or not. I didn't miss any one of you." He immediately turned the crowd against him.
And sure, that crowd booed for that line.
But yeah, I think
But I think they were still
I get where you're
excited to
going.
see him come out and real naked choke somebody.
Yeah,
There's, to me, to be a heel, you have to be able. The whole point of being a heel is that it's your job to make that audience want to pay to see you get your ass kicked.
The only one that has succeeded at it recently is Jinder Mahal, and they had to play the race card to get that kind of hate.
Which killed
any
everything.
kind of compelling face.
There's
character.
Your heel can be compelling without being racist.
Yeah.
Your heel can be compelling without being sexist. That we are in a modern era now where you do have to kind of watch what you say, and that intrinsically hurts heels.
It does. It truly does.
And here's the thing. Here's one point that I would bring up. I think it's also the changing styles of wrestling coming up to this year, this landscape. I mean, the art of it is slowly disappearing. It's slowly fading away because
you're right. I don't think anybody knows how to be a heel anymore.
Because back then you have the more old school wrestling traits. Taker would know best on this one, where you could go by with a less is more philosophy, I think. I mean,
one of the greatest and most underrated heels of all time, in my opinion, is superstar Bill Dundee. Bill Dundee worked in Memphis for years. He was Lawler's main rival. And what made Dundee so great as a heel was that he was about 5'5".
Okay.
He still had a great build.
Okay.
But he was mean. He was vicious. He would hit you and want to make you bleed. And he went to that right up to the edge and made sure he put his toe across it. What made Dundee great, though, was his appearance said one thing, but his personality said something different. I'm not seeing people with the personality to be a heel. I don't see anybody who truly wants to be hated. The Miz wants to be hit. The Miz enjoys being hated. You can tell. He just enjoys it.
Yeah. But that promo he just cut is a face promo. Come on.
And that's what hurts. These guys, they're handed a script that they think is going to elicit one reaction. But when they go out there and say it, how am I supposed to boo a man who wants to dedicate his year to his unborn daughter?
You can't.
You can't boo someone who's doing that. I mean, you could, but I think you'd lose a part or two.
Son of a bitch.
There you go. You could, but then again, you'd lose a part of your soul or something like that. I'm not sure. But I think the scope... Yeah.
Go.
Okay, I think in the scope of that kind of segment where The Miz came back and just did that kind of promo, like I said last week, if you base your assumption on just that kind of segment, you'd be hard pressed to say that he's a heel, because you think, my goodness, is he a face? I think he's a face with that one. Yeah.
Yeah, if that was the first time you ever watched WWE wrestling,
you want to cheer for that guy.
Yeah,
exactly.
You want to cheer for The Miz.
Yep.
And I'm not arguing on the facts. Sure. The Miz may have gotten a little bit more face pops nowadays. I mean, it's just that on the generalized scope, and Madeline points it out in the chat, the problem is that most guys don't want to be healed because it costs them money.
Exactly. Being a heel affects your bottom line. Yeah. It always has.
It's
But that's funny you should say that, because one of the greatest heel factions ever, the Four Horsemen, they made tons of money. On their merch, and they were heel 90% of the time.
But what happened with the Four Horsemen was it became cool to be a horseman.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, and that's when it flipped.
And NWO, when they first started out, they were a heel faction. Their merch
came out.
Went out the flew off the shelves, their own shelf because they were trying. They wanted to be separate. But you get my point,
right?
Yeah, because here's the thing: those factions, the Four Horsemen, NWO, Degeneration X to an extent, they made being heels look cool. Basically, at first you detest them, you hate them, you don't want to see them. But then again, slowly, bit by bit, you see that, oh my god, they're cool.
I got to the point with NWO though that I was so sick of them running in every week on Monday Nitro. I quit.
You mean
watching.
all 30 of them?
Huh?
You mean all 30 of them?
Yeah. It got ridiculous. If they'd have kept it at the core three, maybe add a fourth, and that's about it, WCW would still be around. I believe that.
Fair enough.
To me, you have in today's wrestling world, you have to figure out how to be a heel and be different. And I don't think anybody's made that connection yet.
Of course not. I mean, who fits the description of getting cool, compelling heels out in WWE's landscape?
Do you want a cool? I want a compelling heel.
I want a compelling heel too. And the closest one I could see right now, who's not being used right now, is Pete Dunne.
Oh, please put that man on TV.
I mean, he's one of the compelling heels that I'd love to see to pay money for, to see someone kick his ass.
MDS, I agree with you for one simple fact. Every time I see him come on my TV, it's like, please lose. I can't stand your cocky, arrogant shit. You little shit. Lose. Just lose.
I mean,
I despise him more than I despise The Miz, okay? And we all know how bad that is.
I mean, my argument is simple. WWE makes it so complicated when wrestling needs to be simple. And I'll preach that fact every single time nowadays. How do you make a compelling heel? The question, the big one, the simple question.
I think what has always made a compelling heel, whether it's in wrestling, in TV, in movies, that compelling bad guy is always someone who thinks he's doing it for the right reason.
Yeah. Basically, he's justified, but he doesn't know that his justification is actually wrong.
Or is
one of the greatest heels who you could say was cool is you go back to the spaghetti westerns with Clint Eastwood and Lee Van Cleef. Angel Eyes.
Yeah, okay.
He,
with the good, the bad, and the ugly again. Okay, sure.
Yes. My all-time favorite movie. So, but
okay.
Lee Van Cleef was one of those type of bad guys that, in the end, you wanted to see him get waxed. And he usually did.
Well, even I think what the great thing about you bring up Clint Eastwood, you can argue in all of Clint Eastwood's spaghetti westerns, save for a couple, he was the heel.
Yeah,
true.
He was this guy who just didn't care.
Yeah.
And I think that there's an element of that in that you need to have that element as a heel in professional wrestling. The problem is, I don't think these guys want to give off that impression.
Right.
They want to have. I think a potentially fun heel is Jason Jordan.
Potentially,
oh, God, please. Yeah, if they would just let him go.
I think he has all the makings to be a really good heel.
But the only thing about him, though, is that him being a heel, he'd be a whining, sniveling little bitch.
Which is fine if he plays it right.
Right now, he's playing he's playing the heel tendencies to a babyface characters. Two of the biggest babyface characters, in both Rollins and Reigns, which doesn't mesh up well.
he looks like a heel right now because he's bouncing off those two,
He's
and it
mooching
makes
up.
him look like an annoying little brother,
Exactly.
which is not what he wants.
He's the annoying little brother that needs to get the taste slapped out of his mouth.
They need to flip his switch to be a guy who feels underappreciated. Why don't you love me? Why weren't you giving me that attention? Here I am. I'm this all-American wrestler from Indiana University. I have everything you could possibly want in a top star.
Mhm.
Why don't you love me?
Exactly. And
So
there you go.
basically, what you're saying is this, and oh boy, this is going to cause some controversy when I say this.
Oh, just say it. We're
The
not.
second coming of Kurt Angle when he first got here.
Exactly.
There you go.
I
There needs
won a
to be-
gold medal with a broken freaking neck. For 4 years, we heard that shit.
And we booed him every time because he came off as entitled,
Mhm.
as whiny, and we booed him because he would cheat when he didn't have to.
Well, here's the thing.
You're an Olympic level athlete. You don't need to take shortcuts.
Well, here's the thing. If we look at it, what is Booker T trying to do with this kid on commentary?
He's trying to turn him a heel. Yeah.
He's trying to show the heel side to him.
Right.
But yeah, I mean,
in that situation, Booker T. Sorry, guys, you're gonna hate me for this. Booker T's the face in that whole diatribe with those three.
He is. He's trying to manufacture this idea that no, this guy does not have pure intentions.
mhm.
And nobody believes him.
And I think that kind of dichotomy works if it's an intentional thing. I think that's Booker being Booker, trying to help this kid. I don't think that's an intentional driving part of the company trying to make this kid into the heel they want him to be.
But hey, it could be an element of it.
It can
Jordan
work.
can,
It could
Jordan
absolutely
can go up to the commentary and just yell at Booker, "You're the one who's not supporting of me."
You don't know me. How dare you sit there and
you
talk like you know who I am? You don't know what I've been through. That I'm waiting for that.
I
There you
am
go.
too.
I mean, it's simple. I mean, hell, it's already simple.
Go ahead, creative WWE creative. Steal our idea. We don't care. We believe
It's
it'll
simple.
work.
He's
It's
deluded.
simple. Simple booking always works best.
I'm waiting for him to turn on Kurt.
Yeah, and like I said, it's simple. He's justified. It's just that his justification is wrong to the point that he's deluded into it. Book that.
Delusional. I agree. He's delusional on it.
Book that. He has justification. He has beliefs. He knows that he has that. The heel knows that he has that kind of belief because he believes it to be true. The only problem is the rest of the crowd doesn't believe that to be true. Generally, it's not true.
One of the best heels in the company right now, and the ones a lot of people should be looking at, is Andreas Cien Almas.
Yes.
Andrade, yeah.
The
Cien
NXT
Andrade Cien Almas. Yes.
The El Idolo himself. Yeah.
El Idolo himself. Right. Former La Sombra from Los Ingobernables.
de Mexico.
In
In Mexico.
yeah.
Not de Japón. No.
Not
Or
the
not
help one,
the podcast either.
Right.
I mean,
He gets it. He understands what his job is night in and night out. And he doesn't care.
And he still moves merch.
Exactly.
He's the heel. And one of the greatest eyes for talent in NXT is not Triple H and it's not Matt Bloom
or William Regal for that.
or William Regal. It's Izzy.
Yes.
Izzy is wearing Andrade's merch, which means he's got the seal of approval of that kid. He's golden. He is golden.
A 16-year-old kid who's now WWE's best paid employee in scouting talent for NXT. Yippee.
Well, you laugh at that idea, but when you sit down and think about it, it makes absolute sense.
Yeah.
She is a test marker.
Yeah.
The second The second Izzy took off Bailey's merch to put on Alexa Bliss's, it lets you know that Alexa Bliss is connected.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
The
moment that Izzy cried when Sasha took the I think the sunglasses off her head and put them on hers and threw them.
Threw them at her, the whole nine. Sure, it might have been a little staged, but it worked.
It works.
It worked.
When I see, I think I've seen Izzy dress up as
Basically,
I've seen Izzy wearing Nikki Cross merch.
Yes. When Izzy is invested, it lets you know that this person is getting it and they're connecting.
Mm-hmm.
Staged or not, they're connecting with that person. Mm-hmm. So Izzy's dressing up like the male heel champion. Done. Done. Star.
He's going to the main roster within the next 3 months.
I mean, here's the thing.
Adam's talking. We can't hear you. Can you hear him?
I am not talking.
You were. I was watching your lips move and nothing was coming out.
Don't watch his lips moving. You're not supposed to watch his screen.
If I'm on delay, then that's a whole new set of issues.
If it's on delay, it's just that his signal is getting choppy, but I hear him well, so no problem. But anyway, I digress.
No, but when Izzy starts wearing other superstars merch, they're made. They're golden.
Yeah, I see it like this. NXT is like the Roman gladiator where people are fighting against one another to get the approval of the emperor. Can you guess who the emperor is? Izzy. If she gives you the thumbs up, you're good. If she gives you the thumbs down, you're dead.
Well, here's the thing. At one at the taping, the first taping at Center Stage.
Sure.
Izzy was there.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people were like, "What?" Yeah, Izzy was there,
mm-hmm.
and she was wearing Street Profit gear.
There you go.
Yep.
So, I mean, this kid knows talent better than probably most of us.
Pretty much.
Speaking of NXT,
sure.
I think the biggest Performance Center signing class has just been inked.
Oh yeah, okay. Yep.
Yeah, it has. Nice segue there, Adam. Nice one.
Hey, I'm not a total noob at this.
I never said you were.
I know you didn't. What are your guys'
thoughts on it?
Opinion? What are your guys' hopes for Ricochet, War Machine, and Candice LeRae?
Go ahead, MDS.
Fantasy booking wise, I see Ricochet doing Zack Sabre Jr. Whether it be both on the main roster or on NXT first of all, I think I'll assume that everyone is going to go the NXT treatment before they get pushed to the main roster. But I see Ricochet going the Zack Sabre Jr. thing, where he's built like a cruiserweight, but has every intention of fighting as a heavyweight. In that sense,
the only fear I have with him is, we know it happened with La Sombra. He lost his mask when he went to NXT.
I think Ricochet can ditch the mask because he's not coming in as Prince Puma.
If you ever see, that's the problem. If he ever goes back to Mexico,
he's gonna have to wear the mask.
No, he can't. He cannot.
Well, you see, the thing is, though,
there's only been one wrestler, or now a couple, because Juventud Guerrero's got his mask back. The first one was Ray.
Right. And they made a big stink about that.
Yes.
But I will say, Ricochet has wrestled in New Japan without the mask. So
he has wrestled under the name Ricochet as well.
So I think he's fine.
He's fine.
He was only Prince Puma in Lucha Underground. My big fear for Ricochet is that if and when he makes the main roster, they immediately gut his arsenal. Which is what they'll probably do. The things he can do in that ring as an aerial performer,
as a high flyer, basically.
As a high flyer, is some of the most innovative stuff we've seen in 10 years.
Yeah.
The problem is the WWE does not want you to be innovative.
Yeah. I mean, the main setback for 205 Live is just that they're not allowed to showcase their athletic ability or high flying maneuvers a lot more than there should be. Yeah. They do. It's just that they don't portray that as the main attraction of the show, which was what made the Cruiserweight Championship that much attractive, because they are allowed to do high risk spots like that. Coming to 205 Live, they're restricted into doing it. Probably because they have to do it on a weekly basis, 300 days a week, all that kind of bullshit. Just that, yeah. I feel the same. I feel the same kind of fear as well. The same kind of worry that would pull someone like Ricochet to the main roster and then suddenly gets his arsenal gutted out. That was the reason why I say that if he goes to the main roster, Ricochet, in my ideas anyway, should get the booking of Zack Sabre Jr. kind of way when he's in NJPW, where he's supposed to wrestle as a junior, but then again, no, I don't want to wrestle as a junior. I want to wrestle as a heavyweight, which he did, and he worked.
Somebody pointed out, I'm going to bring this up real quick. When we were talking about heels.
Sure.
One of the greatest heels right now in WWE, period, is the Velveteen Dream. He's compelling.
Yeah, sure.
He you damn sure can't look away.
You can, yeah, I can't.
No. He gets your attention bigger than shit, I'll tell you.
He gets in your face. Basically, he literally gets in your face.
Oh, yes.
Say my name. Say my name, bitch. He can do that. He can do that.
If there was ever any doubt, to me, one of the biggest crimes of misused talent in WWE is that of Cedric Alexander. Because if he was allowed to do the things he could do, he'd be Cruiserweight champion today.
Yeah, and he'll light up.
We could say the same thing about Apollo Crews, a.k.a. Uwa Nation.
Yes. They shot him up there too soon, which
took away all of his offense, basically.
Yeah.
I think
and now he's a comedy act with
Titus O'Neil. And Eddie Brooke, which isn't really wrong, but I think he could do better. That's it. I think in the feeling that he could do better, he could do better.
Well, it's getting him on TV more, so we can have that.
So where are you guys at on War Machine in WWE?
I love War Machine. Don't know. I think they're there as a replacement for AOP. If they're gonna shot both Hanson and Raymond Rowe into the NXT process, then probably they're gonna be the replacements for the AOP, or if not, just adding a lot more into the tag team division down there. If they move to the main roster, the only problem I have is that we already have warriors like these two in the form of the Bludgeon Brothers.
Oh, that's a hell of a match.
That'd be a fun match. I can't lie.
I mean, have you seen the gear War Machine comes out from? Reminiscent to kind of sort of like Legion of Doom in a sense. It's just that, it's going to be an interesting mashup between Bludgeon Brothers and War Machine, who look like genuine barbarians, and two other bearded guys in the Bludgeon Brothers with hammers.
Unless they put War Machine with Bludgeon Brothers in creative action.
Ooh, what?
Oh, don't do that. Don't do that.
The Bearded Battalion?
Oh, I like the name too. Bearded Battalion.
I like the name, but don't do that. War Machine are so good on their own.
I'd say put him with the Bludgeon Brothers for a few months, get him over, and then have War Machine turn on him.
My question is, do you think WWE lets them keep that gimmick?
Probably not.
If they do, it's going to be a surprise. If they don't, what the fuck are you going to do, WWE? Are you going to market them?
What are you going to do with them? Because a part of their presentation, a part of what makes them great is that gimmick.
The big guy gimmick, the barbarian kind of gimmick, in a sense. They already shot their foot with Bludgeon Brothers, and then suddenly bringing War Machine in, who plays it well. Oh no!
Yeah, who have done it well, who have perfected what they are. I mean, the thing that they have going for them, gimmick or no gimmick, is that they are big guys who can move.
Mm-hmm. They're deceptively fast.
Well, Square Circle podcast, and like I said, I've not seen War Machine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he brings up an interesting thing in the chat. He brings up Road Warriors.
Like I said, they look like Road Warriors / Legion of Doom.
Now, would they allow them to do something along those lines? That's the question.
Let's hope so.
Well, the first thing they'll have to do is murder the Ascension.
Oh yeah, they're gonna murder. I think the murder process has already been done with the fashion files and all that. Probably they'll get their
walking papers,
do over, makeover, those kind of stuff. Probably yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna be sent back down to NXT and repackaged.
Yeah, they'll be sent down to NXT to face War Machine for the gimmick.
Interesting point, chat. That Heavy Machinery kind of sort of looks like War Machine in a sense.
Yeah,
because all four of them are big men who can move fast. It's just that Heavy Machinery looks more modern in comparison. If I remember correctly, I see Demolition in Heavy Machinery. I see Demolition in Heavy Machinery, while Road Warriors I see more in War Machine. Those are the two.
I also kind of get from Heavy Machinery, they're a bit of a comedy gimmick.
Kind of.
I can say. You know, they're kind of supposed to make you chuckle. They're great athletes, and they're really fun to watch, but they're also kind of a comedy. Whereas War Machine is very much straight edge. We're going to come in, we're going to hit you as hard as we can.
Mm-hmm. Hey, at least in a positive note for Heavy Machinery, they actually did show up back again.
Yeah,
they at least show up They actually show up in NXT screening this week.
Good for them.
And somehow they lost.
Wow, there you go.
To both Riddick Moss and Tino Sabatelli.
All right, and then last but certainly not least, Candice Wrestling. Candice LeRae.
Is it too obvious that they're going to shoot her in the women's division? Number one. Number two, make her the perennial babyface, for that matter.
She is such a babyface. She is the babiest babyface who ever babyfaced.
Yeah, she's the faciest face that ever faced.
I think she's going to be their Bailey replacement.
A more well-rounded Bailey, in a sense, if you want to go with the path of a babyface like that. Because let's not deny, Candice is badass in a way.
Oh, Candice is such a little badass, and she is fun to watch. My one concern that our good friends over at Two Guys One Sport raised, that I happen to agree with, is Candice made her bones wrestling men. That's where a lot of her successes come from. We know that's not happening in WWE.
What makes you think that? We just had one recently before No Neck was released.
There's a difference between what Ellsworth and Becky Lynch did and what Candice LeRae has done.
Oh, I know. Candice LeRae is actually bled.
Candice has gotten juice. She's been ragdolled. Candice has done some shit that'll make you feel uncomfortable. But
Sure.
So the question I have is this, though. How do you debut her in NXT? Do you wait to take over Philadelphia and plant her in the crowd
I have a better idea.
to neutralize Savina Vega?
I
Probably.
think if you want to fast play it like that, I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
I have a feeling they're going to save her though for when we get to Gargano Ciampa.
I've seen some fantasy booking out there already with the signing of Candice LeRae. Everybody knows she's married to Johnny Gargano.
Everyone knows it's no secret.
Everyone knows. It's no secret.
They made sure you knew during the Mae Young Classic.
Exactly.
They made a documentary about that as well.
I mean, she is known to the audience, so you don't have to get over that unknown factor.
Right. So have her, neutralize Savina Vega, and then have Ciampa show up anyway, and take Gargano out.
I think that could work. I think if anyone had the potential to be thrust into the main spotlight like that, it's her. She's been around the block.
Yeah. And
then again, I can see her doing something to cut Ciampa off.
Yeah. I think you could see that. Because let's face it, if I'm booking Tommaso Ciampa versus Candice LeRae, Candice LeRae's over.
I can't imagine Candice doing the balls flex on Ciampa.
I don't think you'll see the balls flex
in a sort of sickening way in NXT.
I don't think you'll see some of that stuff she did with Joey Ryan.
Joey Ryan, yeah.
On the in WWE, because they're just not going to let her.
Yeah.
Which once again, and I'm anxious to see how she's going to interact with the other women.
Because she's basically, I think I agree on you though. Because basically, she's the one with the most upside. Because there's a lot of possibilities that you can put with her. Maybe you can slot her with it as a partner in crime with Johnny Gargano, or you can slot her with a feud alongside Tommaso Ciampa, or in hell, you can slot her as the Women's Royal Rumble.
You can put her anywhere really within these next few months.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, are they going to establish her as a? Will they take the easy route and put her next to Johnny Gargano? Or are they going to let her dive right into the women's division? I tell you right now, I'll pay money to see Candice LeRae versus Nikki Cross. Here, take my money. Take it now.
It'd be so. What you're saying, Adam, is that it'll be as good a feud as Asuka Nikki Cross was, especially with that last women's standing match.
I think you put two talented women in the ring like that. Let the story tell itself.
Yeah, and let's not beat around the bush about it. Candice LeRae is a talented wrestler.
She is.
Give her a quality opponent. She can do it.
They'll figure it out.
Hell, if you want, you can just toss in Shayna Baszler at her. Do a quick feud with her again.
I think that's also a possibility. I also think, I mean, we have no confirmation of this. I think we will be getting a women's tag belt shortly.
Oh, God, no, please. We don't need iconic.
I mean,
being strapped. No.
Well,
no. I'll puke. Where's the bucket?
Here you go. I think what Taker is saying is that he's just scared of the possibility that it's going to happen like that.
Well, what I was going to suggest was a possibility of a great babyface team like Candice LeRae and Dakota Kai.
Sure.
Bounce off the.
Sure.
I don't know. I think there's a lot of ways Candice can be used in the short term and in the long term. And I think that they're going to
She's the one. I think from the signing, she's the one I'm worried about the least because you can do anything with her.
I agree. And I also think they're going to have to figure that out sooner because she's older than Charlotte.
She's 32.
She's 32 years old. It's time. Let's get her running. Let's get her feet on the ground as quick as we can.
Yep.
And just to throw this out there, any thoughts on Casey Catanzaro, the American Ninja Warrior? Who they signed? Any?
You know what? Give her a shot. Give her a shot. That's all I'm gonna say. Just give her a shot.
Somebody in the chat room just came up with a very interesting match.
Sure.
You know, and it's Squared Circle podcast did it again. He goes, why won't they let women wrestle men just because China died? Which had nothing to do with WWE. I don't think that has anything to do with it. If the women are capable of lifting the men, which most of them are,
yes,
then let them wrestle men. Nia versus Braun would be awesome.
You will never see it because of the toy deals. You will never see it because of the public. The mainstream public media already doesn't have a good grasp on what's going on in wrestling. I mean, just a couple weeks ago, I don't know if you guys saw it, CBS This Morning did a piece on Chris Wolf.
Oh, yeah. I saw it.
I didn't see it.
I actually caught that. Caught that online.
And Chris, nothing against Chris Wolf and what she's doing in Japan, she's performing phenomenally.
Yep.
But you could tell by the article that they didn't understand the differences and how far behind American women's wrestling is compared to Japanese women's wrestling.
Exactly, I agree.
So
I think
hell. Let's put it all out there. There's a difference. There's a separation between American style wrestling and Mexican style wrestling, where they have men going against women.
So
Sexy Star, for instance,
right? Those kind of things. Or I'm not going to say intergender wrestling. I'm not going to say is a commonplace occurrence in those countries, but it's happened. In this country, women were put in the ring with men as a means of punishment and a means of to demean them.
Yes, because
there's no way the media has forgotten those images, and then you put a guy like Braun in the ring with someone like Nia. Yeah, Nia's a big girl and she can take care of herself. She's no Braun Strowman, and there's only one way that's going to look.
Yeah, Braun Strowman will ragdoll her, and all the sexist stuff will come out.
And the culture we're now starting to see with women speaking up about domestic abuse and
yep.
Yeah, there's a lot of I agree. There's a lot of underlying tones that the Western culture and the West, I think mostly at the States and to some European countries as well, who market wrestling at that time, has a different set of culture and thought process than, let's say, compared to a Japanese wrestling community.
Once again, political correctness rises ahead.
I'd say it is a part of it. It's not the major part of it. It's just one of the underlying tones of it. I mean, over here, you can see very well clearly. Japanese joshies can whip ass to other men quite easily.
I saw that on Lucha Underground. Remember the match you showed me?
Yep. And one outlier would be Lucha Underground, where Pentagon Dark would have to face against the trio of Kairi Sane, Io Shirai, and Mayu Iwatani. Yeah.
But the thing with Lucha Underground where they slipped up was they didn't put parameters on it. They let some heinous shit go down.
Oh yeah,
true. And I guarantee you, if that heinous shit made its way to CBS This Morning, there'd be congressional hearings.
Yeah. I mean, hell,
it's out there on the internet, CBS, if you want to find it.
Yeah,
go to Netflix. You can find it.
I mean, hell, Pentagon Dark basically ragdolled both Kairi and Mayu, for that matter.
So I mean, to trace it back to Candace.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
I'm not saying we're never going to see her in a ring with a guy and some shit happens and bang and that kind of thing, but there will never be Candice LeRae versus insert male wrestler here. You're just not going to see it.
Yeah,
especially with Candice being what, 5'3", 110 pounds,
Something like that.
She is small. And it wouldn't take that big of a guy to pick her up and toss her out of the ring. And oh my God, think of the kids.
Rolls into the fans, for Christ's sake.
Right.
She's 5'2" and 110 pounds.
Oh, wow, I'm good.
I mean, yeah, I agree. I mean, sure. Here's the thing. Making a completely innocuous segue, we did have Mixed Match Challenge happen this week, which is an okay start. It's just that you don't technically get to see a man wrestle a woman.
Although you see Nakamura catch Sasha Banks and set her right back on the ring apron, which pissed her off.
which pissed her off.
The scene that launched 1,000 fanfics.
Yep. And a scene that probably launched 1,000 shippers too, for that matter.
Oh, no kidding. Mixed Match Challenge is
all
great.
coming to your door, MDS.
Why?
Because you're in Japan.
And that concerns me. How shippers in
You'll
Japan?
Figure it out.
Well, no, actually, no. They're not coming to your door.
Yeah,
that's Bull Nakano's coming to your door.
No.
They're going to see Don Sal.
Yeah. Sure. Why not? But okay. Like I said, sure, they made strides in the Mixed Match Challenges. Is that technically you don't really get to see man versus woman in a wrestling match? Which
what I have enjoyed about the Mixed Match Challenge hasn't been the match so far because I have yet to see it. But what I have enjoyed are the vignettes leading into it.
Oh yeah, I love it.
It's amazing what happens when you just set a camera in front of these people and tell them figure it out.
Yeah.
One of the best ones was Sami Zayn.
Yes.
One of my personal favorite is Bobby Roode trying to put on Charlotte's robe.
Yes.
Charlotte, who, I'm sorry, that girl couldn't contain herself if she tried. She was physically shaking. She's laughing so hard. But that chemistry, you're starting to see these teams come together.
Really gel. Yeah, really gel. Yeah.
Bailey and Elias is hysterical.
Yeah, he's hysterical with Bailey. I love that.
She's just sitting there with the guitar, trying her damnedest to get, the chords right.
To get the chords right.
And then Elias walks by and grabs her by the hand and puts her hand where it needs to go, which will launch another 1,000 fanfics.
There you go. I was just about to say that, and another 1,000 shippers as well.
She gets it right, and she's all happy, and he's happy he helped her. And
he just smiles and just walks off, trips away.
It just works.
Yeah. I mean, I think things like that.
All right, let me ask this question.
Sure.
This Mixed Match Challenge, there's a lot of heel face, dynamic, but are we seeing... Would you say we're seeing the wrestlers and the people on the main roster being more themselves?
Yes. Yes, I think what we're seeing is
why can't, if that's the case, then why can't they do it normally? Let the wrestlers be themselves.
Because this Mixed Match Challenge is not being produced by Vincent Kennedy McMahon.
No, you're right.
Vince McMahon is not sitting there behind the
right,
producing these matches. It's Ryan Ward. So to me, that feels like when Vince or Kevin aren't involved, there seems to be, when they're involved, there's a lot of hands-on.
Yeah.
When it's anyone else, there's a lot of hands off. And when when you let the reins go a little bit, it is amazing to see these people figure out their characters.
Mhm.
And when you figure out your character, I don't care how much production is involved. You know what your character is, and you know how to act accordingly. It's what's made Becky Lynch the best damn babyface in probably the entire company. Because she knows her character.
And when she knows the character, they let her go. Okay, you know your character.
She's able to speak as that character, no matter if it's in a backstage segment where there may be less production, or if she's in the ring with the whole company focused on her, because she understands what that character how that character would act, what they would say, how they would position themselves, emote. She understands.
Yeah.
And I think what we're going to see with this Mixed Match Challenge is these people pick up on character notes, which will serve them masterfully down the road.
I sure hope so. I mean, I'm enjoying the Mixed Match Challenge more now that it's on WWE Network. Now it's on WWE Network, and I can watch it. And from what I've watched from Nakamura Natalia versus Finn Balor and Sasha Banks, it was fun. It was a blast. I mean, not because of the whole wrestling.
Do you guys think the 12-week time span is too long?
Or is it 16?
Kind of. 16.
Is it 16?
16 weeks, I think. It's all the way up to WrestleMania.
Ugh.
It's too long. That's the only nitpick. I think that's a nitpick for my end, I think, considering the fact it's too long. Make it short.
It popped a great big number the first episode. What was it, 1.4 million?
Yeah, and then you have to wait that damn long just to get another episode out. I mean, sure, you're doing it for a good cause with charity and all speaks for itself. Yeah, but to watch a wrestling match like that, and to wait for that long, no, it's to go on a traveling for a bit up until WrestleMania, a little bit too long. Yeah, that's a bit, but I think that's a nitpick. It was fun. Can't wait to watch any other. Can't wait to watch the other MMCs.
One thing we're all waiting for, because we're getting back to Ryan Ward?
Mm-hmm.
Once Vince steps down, which God please, let it be soon, and Base H takes over.
Yeah.
Kevin Dunn will be probably let go, and I'd say put Ryan Ward in his spot and let him run with it.
Okay.
Well, if you believe that old report that came out last year, Michael Cole is the favorite to land in Kevin Dunn's chair.
Kevin Dunn's spot.
Oh God, no. Michael Coulthard, no. Sorry, no. That's his real name, folks.
I know.
He is apparently the guy they're grooming to take that. He produced the UK tournament,
which is not bad. Not bad. Which is not bad. In his defense, it's not bad.
Wasn't great, but not bad.
Yeah.
So I think he'll be the one who get that chair.
Let's just hope he allows more creative freedom and brings back the word wrestling.
I think the first thing he'll understand is not to yell in somebody's ear as they're talking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just speak normally. You're doing this wrong. This is the right way. Even if you want to put him on a script. Hey man, it's okay. But then again, yeah. Back to the whole Candice. If things in the MMC work out well, let's see what happens with the whole man versus woman wrestling kind of thing. Yeah, I know the appeal of Candice LeRae is actually, she's fighting against a man. So probably they'll try and do a test run with it when Tommaso Ciampa returns from injury. Who knows? It could be a funny precedent. Johnny's wife standing up against Tommaso Ciampa for screwing her husband out from the DIY tag team, yeah, it could be interesting and funny precedent.
I think Candace would rip his leg off and beat him with it. But that's
Yep.
okay.
Because trust me when I say this, she is deceptively cute, but she is deceptively dangerous as well. Number one, she's a baker. She's a very dangerous baker. She'll feed you delicious baked products and let you get fat with it. Which is not wrong.
Too late.
Too late.
Okay, guys, there's one more 800-pound gorilla in the room.
Sure.
Bring it on.
Bring it up.
The Rich Rodriguez arrest and him coming out naming Roman Reigns and Mark Wahlberg as clients of his for his illegal steroids. My personal opinion is that this is someone who got caught with his hand in the cookie jar, and he's trying to take down people in the public eye. Now, Mark Wahlberg, I don't have a problem with because he needed to do something for what he was doing. Okay, he needed to get juiced to do it. I don't have an issue with it. Roman Reigns, however, was busted 2 years ago for something. We don't know if it was PEDs or illegal drugs. We don't know what it was.
Word is it was Adderall, but that's neither here nor there.
Right. So, be that as it may.
Sure.
That's 2 years ago.
Yeah.
He's had 11 tests since then. He came out publicly and said he doesn't even know who this guy is.
Yeah, he did.
And
He
he
did
had
pull
11
out a statement. Yeah, he did pull out a statement.
Roman put out a statement, as did Mark Wahlberg.
Yep.
Basically denied that he even knew who this guy was. The issue is this: Roman Reigns got busted in 2016 allegedly for Adderall. We don't know how much truth there is to that. It was never publicized what it was. He's had 11 tests since then under the wellness program, and it's come back clean each time.
Yep.
Why would someone want, you get busted? He even said, I got busted once and I learned my lesson. That's enough for me.
I'm looking at this situation as this isn't the Balco scandal that brought down Barry Bonds. This isn't Jose Canseco spilling the beans and forcing Congress to step in on the issues of steroids in baseball.
Sure.
I think this is a guy who, like Team said, got caught and is now trying to rack his brain to figure out, okay, who was in my gym? Oh, that guy. I recognize that guy. He's on TV. I have not personally seen a dramatic growth in Roman. Of course, a PED doesn't inherently mean you're going to get bigger. I think if Roman was on a PED, it would probably have to do with something regarding his hernia and the pain from that.
I can see that.
Bottom line is, when we're talking steroids in wrestling, what are we talking about? None of the records matter. This isn't baseball.
Okay.
It's all a presentation thing. And I understand that Vince's preferred wrestler looks like
Jinder Mahal right now.
Jinder Mahal, who's so gassed that I feel like if I poked him, it'd be like a balloon. Just
Well, it is. I think in defense of Jinder Mahal, and this is going to be a surprise, he wrestles a one-dimensional style of wrestling that caters to his strengths with as well. Just ground and pound.
What are his
opponent,
strengths?
basically.
I haven't seen them yet.
Well, he basically just wrestles the Triple H way of wrestling.
Which,
if you're done.
Speaking of steroids and wrestling,
So coincidental that I spoke about Triple H. Now
I
that we're
mean-
talking about the whole thing, yeah.
Now, Madeline Lenoir brings up a very valid point in the chat before you go on. It said before you go on there, Adam. If an informant, if a government or if some kind of informant, i.e., government informant, introduced Reigns to Rodriguez, the government would have already been up Reigns' ass. That
Yes.
hasn't happened yet.
That's true. Yet.
If this had come from the informant,
If it's not coming. It says if.
I think we would have heard about a knock on Joe Anoa'i's door long before now.
Oh yeah.
Because the Fed takes that seriously.
Yes, they do.
I just forgot the name of the agency. The
DEA.
DEA.
Yep.
The DEA takes that seriously. I can't blame a guy working in that business who wants to look bigger. I can't. I understand. And being an adult, you know what the health risks are for sticking a needle in your ass. You just do. You saw what happened. We saw what happened to Davy Boy. You know, Davy Boy's body eventually just stopped.
Mm-hmm.
And that was more from, I think it was morphine than the opioids than from steroids. But, you know, once you start putting a needle in yourself for one reason, the next reason really doesn't seem all that far-fetched.
Right.
To me, personally, I don't think there's anything to this. I hope for Roman's sake there isn't anything to this. But then again, like Miss Tanya Rogers, a friend of ours, former podcasting from Wednesday Night Shootin from Cage Side, has pointed out, Brock got popped and he wasn't punished. We know Brock got popped.
He got popped by the
he got popped
by UFC, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, by the NCAA, basically.
Not so much the NCAA. He got busted by that.
USADA, I think.
Yeah, USADA.
USADA.
USADA. There you go.
I got it.
The United States Anti-Doping Agency. But he wasn't punished. There's a history in this point with steroids. Like I said, I don't think it's true. I think Roman's going to be fine. I think this guy's probably going to go and spend some time in jail, and we'll move on from this.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, like I said way back when with the whole week, this week basically. This is the month where WWE slowly picks itself back up from the lull that it has post Christmas, post New Year. They're just slowly but surely putting themselves back on the feet in contention for Royal Rumble. It's slow, but this is as expected. And I think with the slow news that is happening, I think they're just drumming up stories like this coming out. So yeah. So come on. I agree. And Madeline, I agree, friend in the chat. He waits a year to name names. He's arrested in February 2017. He pleaded guilty. He's already in federal prison after pleading guilty. So yeah, the whole precedence about him panicking and just starting to name names and all that, yeah, comes to thought.
He named Roman Reigns, Mark Wahlberg, and Josh Duhamel.
Among others.
If there was ever a list of people you would not expect to be in the same room, yet alone the same gym.
Exactly.
Roman Reigns, Mark
Josh
Wahlberg.
Duhamel, I mean, Jesus, he hasn't really done much
other than acting. Other than just acting and do voice acting in a video game. That's just about it. So yeah, he didn't do anything.
Why does Josh Duhamel need to get jacked? I don't.
Who knows? Probably for a movie role that we don't know about for Josh Duhamel. What is he working on for this year?
Probably trying
what
to
is
feed
he-
his family. That's what he's working on.
Agreed. What is he working on this year? LA to Vegas for TV or no solve. That's it. That's just about it for TV. For movie, Love Simon. That's it. After Transformers: The Last Night, he's not doing anything for cinema. Probably just for TV stuff, and then that's just it. The last piece he did was Transformers: The Last Night and a video game role in Call of Duty World War II. That's it.
So I'm, like
So
I
it's
said, this seems way too weird to
Yeah.
be.
like I think it's just news to drum up. I think it's just news to drum up interest in WWE, and it doesn't really work. It works to get people talking, but it doesn't really work to get a buzz out of this. It's just this is not news that we want to listen to. This is bullshit, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, okay. Good point. Wahlberg and Roman do have the Rock connection. Do have Dwayne as the connection.
Very true. Very true.
But yeah,
No, it was probably
Do-
Dwayne who told him to go there.
So probably, yeah. Probably, yeah. Probably they'll say that. Well, both of them know Dwayne the Rock Johnson, but then again, what about Duhamel? He didn't know anything about it.
Well,
And the thing is that are they saying that Dwayne's on the juice? I highly doubt it.
No.
oh well, no, I think Dwayne is on the juice. I mean, compare Dwayne Johnson in 1999 to Dwayne Johnson now. That dude has gassed up, which is totally okay. He's an actor.
Number one, he's an actor. Number two, how old is he? He's what, 50 now?
Oh God, no.
No.
I think
Hold on, I'll tell you in a second.
he's 45. Okay, minus 5 years down. He's 45. He's slowly aging.
Yeah.
So he's allowed to be gassed once in a while. Number one. And number two, yes, he is an actor. So,
I don't care.
but
I don't care.
He's not under contract at WWE right now.
no, so he's free to. I'm not condoning any sort of drug usage, okay?
No,
Not
I
saying
understand.
I'm not
And
saying
hey,
it.
and hey, everything's still going good for him. I think he's getting ready to be a dad again.
Yep, he's getting ready to be dad again. He's getting ready to be Big Pikachu again.
I saw that.
I mean, the lengths that I go to entertain my daughter.
Right.
Wear a Pikachu suit. So yeah.
There's one brief thing I want to throw in there.
Mhm.
If we're off that, Bill Goldberg, the
Sure.
first entrance into this year's class of the
Hall of Fame.
WWE Hall of Fame, which is one of our first indicators that we're on the road to WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yay or nay on Bill Goldberg in the Hall of Fame? And I know this topic could span forever, but is there a particular name you think we will see in this year's class?
I think the better question is who's gonna induct him.
I think if it were me, I have Eric Bischoff induct him.
He don't want nothing to do with Eric.
If that's the case, then I didn't know. But
I do.
to me-
I do have an alternate name for him. If Eric Bischoff isn't named, Chris Jericho.
Perfect.
yeah, I could see Jericho. I don't know what his relationship was with Paige, Diamond Dallas Page.
Oh, Diamond Dallas Page. Okay. Yeah, me neither. Not as
to
much
me,
Yeah,
it has to be.
How about this one? Kevin Nash.
No.
That could be interesting.
If Kevin Nash gets healthy back again from his
Knee replacement.
surgery, if he can, then yeah, he's an option. He could be an option.
To me, it just has to be someone from WCW.
Or someone who has a good history with someone who has a storied history with them. That's why I took Jericho in because, well,
Well,
he's
you know,
one of the
rumors are, Heyman's going to do it.
That would be weird.
Yeah, because
Look at the history those two have with Brock.
That was my worry.
Recently.
My concern was they were going to try to have the Brock connection. I think, to me, it's only right if it's someone from WCW. But I know Paul will get up there and tell a good story.
Yes, he can. If there's one thing about Paul, is he can talk.
Anybody have a speculative name for the Hall of Fame?
Well, I'm going to throw a name out there that probably should be put in under the Legends group.
Sure, go ahead.
Actually, two names.
Okay.
They're old AWA guys.
Ooh, okay.
Dick the Bruiser and the Crusher, Terry Lasowski, both of them.
Ooh.
Bruiser and Crusher absolutely belong in there.
Yes, they do.
Let's see what happens. I mean, this is just an early stages kind of thing. Maybe they are considering Bruiser and Crusher.
Considering we're back in New Orleans this year for WrestleMania, and considering last year the Rock and Roll went in, I think it'd be no better time, considering they worked in Mid-South, they worked in the Superdome, they were doing dome shows before New Japan was. I think this is the year we get the Midnight Express.
I was thinking
Jim
that
Cornette into the Hall of Fame.
Interesting. The Midnight Express.
I think it's just time. Any
which one though? Dennis Condrey and Randy Rose, or
I think you have to put in no disrespect to Randy Rose. I think if you're going to induct the Midnight, it has to be the three: Bobby Eaton,
Stan Lane, and Dennis Condrey.
You have to induct those three. Nothing against Randy Rose. It's just that his association with it predates the Midnight that went on to make all that money and tear the house down with the Rock and Roll and the Fantastics and the Fabulous Ones. And Randy Rose had no part of that.
Right. Yeah. Well, someone just brought up something that makes legitimate sense.
Sure.
Lay it on me.
Squared Circle Podcasting. He said, let's talk about the useless SmackDown Live. Last week's SmackDown Live. Apart from Rude winning the title. What was the point? The point is there wasn't one.
Well, there wasn't one because the whole thing was actually focused for the US Championship tournament. The whole thing
the wrong
was
guy won.
Wrong two win the final.
Yeah, wrong two. And that's just about it. Yeah, that's just about it.
Should have been Xavier Mojo Rawley. We should have Mojo Rawley as the U.S. champion right now.
I agree. We said this off air. I'll then reiterate it again. They missed an opportunity to make themselves a bona fide star.
Actually,
two bona fide stars.
Two bona fide stars. I think Mojo has shown a surprise acumen for promos.
Yes.
The dude is intense. He understands what he understands what it means to trash talk.
Yeah. Well, I lay that at the feet that he played in the NFL.
Yep.
We all know there's a lot of shit talk, trash talk on the field during a game.
Yeah.
And what else can we say about Xavier Woods at this point? The dude's great.
He is.
He needs something. He needs something other than the New Day and the Tag Team Championship to make a name out of himself.
I think if they had put the U.S. title on him, it would have done wonders for him, for the company, for merchandise sales. I mean, the whole gamut.
And if they wanted to break up the New Day, that would have been perfect.
It would have made perfect sense if it was Woods versus Raleigh. My comment, basically, this close to Royal Rumble, it is totally unforgivable. Totally fucking unforgivable for SmackDown Live to present a show as creatively fucked up like this. You spend your whole 2 hours concentrating on the US Championship title tourney, and yet you place two of the one of them aside from his entrance is as boring as it gets. The other just got kicked off from the main event of the WWE title, and you're slowly getting back to building him back again as a mid-carder, which you should have done 2 or 3 months ago.
They put the belt on Dime Store Triple H.
No.
I was going for knockoff Ric Flair.
Thank
Same
you.
difference. Same difference.
Thank you. I call him a Ric Flair wannabe.
And not to mention that the finals to the U.S. tournament. What the hell were those women's promos?
Oh, Fembot. Yes.
What?
I have nothing to say.
Well, I said Fembot. Go. This is a throwback to a long time ago, there, Adam.
Okay,
Long before you were born.
I'll do this.
Of a show called The Bionic Woman.
I'll do this. And
the Fembots were actual robots that looked like women, but yeah, okay, that's a whole other. Yeah,
I'll say this, and I'll attest to Madeline's words as well, because this is what I got in my notes. Baron Corbin and Mojo Rawley's promos worked because they sound organic, they sound raw. And we both agree that, you, Taker, you and I both agree that Baron Corbin sucks at giving up promos.
Yep. Some people just have it and others don't.
Okay. Coming to the whole Naomi, Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch doing a lot of promos shot on cell phones for the female Rumble entrance and all that shit, they were worse than Baron Corbin. Baron freaking Corbin is better at giving promos than all 6 of them combined.
They have neutered the Riot Squad in one of the worst ways possible. Liv Morgan, stop.
Mm-hmm.
Stop immediately. Stop everything you're doing. Why are you in a tag match? The second you tag in, the first words out of your mouth in the ring are, "Hey, what's up, Charlotte? This is your competitor." Now, granted, she got chopped to hell, but there's this disconnect with Liv. There's Ruby Riott looking into the cell phone camera. You're smiling. You're a heel. Stop. And Sarah Logan's fucked.
Sarah Logan was the yeah. Liv Mormon was the Fembot.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah Logan is fucked. They can't get past her accent.
They can't.
I'm sorry. If she sounded anything else other than like a girl from the backwoods of East Kentucky,
with that sweet sounding southern drawl, her as a heel just don't work.
It doesn't. She's a babyface.
And she has to be a babyface with the sweet East Kentucky Southern accent that she has.
She has a look that she's attractive as all hell.
Yeah, and she has a look that screams babyface, because she kind of sort of portrays as the backwater Southern girl.
Naive and all. It was naive as hell.
But strong as hell. Yeah. Active as hell.
She goes in there. She's bigger than the other girls. She can do other things that they can't. She should be booked better. But because she has that accent, I think Vince just thinks stupid when he hears that accent.
Yeah, and I can't believe that she used to be Crazy Mary Dobson, who's far more compelling Then heel Sarah
Yeah.
Logan. Oh
Yes.
God.
And like I said, but those promos, my God,
They were horrible.
all
Terrible.
of them, all of
If
them.
if Madeline and I can agree that Baron Corbin sounds better than all 6 of the women combined, you're not going anywhere with those kind of things. And sure, I mean, they did the same thing with Baron Corbin and Mojo Rawley, but they sound organic. They sound genuine.
Yeah,
Rawley
they
to a
sounded
huge-
like they believed what they were saying.
Yeah, Rawley to
That's
a huge
the
extent.
key. That is the key to
Mhm.
being a good heel.
I
Believe
don't.
what you say.
I mean,
Yeah, like I said,
I'm used to Charlotte Flair sounding monotone. It sucks. It's still a shitty promo.
Yeah.
But I'm used to it. What was Naomi doing?
I don't know.
What?
I think I can't say how atrocious the whole thing is. I
Why
think if you
didn't-
kept the whole
Why did they turn off the camera when Lana started talking? I mean,
Lana's is fine to a degree. I think that one's just an insult for her. I don't know.
Oh,
Crap.
speaking of Lana,
Why?
Why?
You brought her up, damn it. You guys brought her up, so now you're gonna have to stop her.
Sure.
She talks about dropping the accent on Total Divas.
Mm.
Can she just?
I'm an actor. No, you're not.
Well, technically she is. Technically.
Technically,
Before
she
this,
is,
she
but
was.
she sucks as an actress. I'm sorry.
Mm.
Can she just be CJ Parker now?
She CJ Perry, I think.
TJ Perry.
I'm sorry.
Christine Joy Perry. Yeah,
Can she just?
Hey,
can we-
Catherine Joy Perry, actually, not Christine.
Can she just stop?
I don't know.
Stop
Mm.
being
This is one
you.
reason why I have never gotten into Total Divas, because it's such unadulterated bullshit. The whole thing.
I don't know. I have nothing to say about it. I mean, good job on trying to sound real, trying to sound as if you're
Human.
human, but at the expense of ruining a little bit of the business that has been ruined already in the form of kayfabe that has already been dead, and you just pissed on it again with the comment.
Of course, that's all she was doing, was pissing on something pissing on a grave that's already there.
Yeah.
Well, to me, it smacks of somebody who just doesn't care. To me, it's like your whole thing is that you're this blonde Russian beauty. You're statuesque and you're serious, and then you get on Total Divas
and act a fool
and drop the accent because you're an actor. Well, bitch, your job is to portray this thing.
I mean,
Now,
okay.
Now that you're saying you're an actor, what you've intrinsically done is you've hurt both yourself and your character. Because who's the actor? Is it Lana? Or is it CJ Perry?
It's
What-
neither.
It's neither.
Who's real? Who is real? And if you
Again,
have
it's
no
neither.
interest in making it seem real, then I have no interest in keeping you around. Go ahead, MDS.
I mean, I'll agree to a certain extent, and I can add some of the stuff. I mean, sure, when you're in WWE, you're supposed to play a character that you portray, that someone give to you and you portray. But then again, when you come out into the open and use your character's name, Lana, as the merchandise rather than your actual name, and then not keep the whole gimmick or some of the gimmick, I hope so. It's going to ruin the image of your character going into WWE. Sure, some of the audience for Total Divas aren't actual fans of the business whatsoever. They just watch it for the sake of reality TV, number one. And number two, it's women It's women who are tough, strong, do their job in the wrestling business, and how they're portrayed out of it.
Right. Well, I could lay this at the feet of one person in particular.
Mark Carano?
No.
Ooh.
Remember the because this was a radio interview.
Uh-huh.
107.7 The Bone. This is out of California. And guess who worked there at one time? Someone that all three of us know.
107 where? The Bone?
Yeah, 107K is, I can't remember how it's spelled, but it's The Bone. I think it's KBON, but I'm not sure. It's someone that we know that is a part of the same community that we all belong to.
Uh-huh.
And he has publicly stated that it was his former employer that did this.
Who was it?
Angel.
Really?
Yep.
Ooh.
Angel worked there at one point. Yes, Angel, I'm calling you out. How could you let those people put that out there? They should know better.
How could you let those people near Lana?
How?
Really? How could they get near? Jesus. And he knows one of the guys that interviewed him.
Well, to me, Total Divas. For me, Total Divas could all be Alexa Bliss and her pet pig, and I think it'd be just. It'd be better. It'd be better television.
I'd give a shout out to Madeline for this. Total Divas' existence is against kayfabe.
Very much so. I agree 100%.
Suddenly, Alexa Bliss, who's supposedly a heel, is the darling joy and somehow a very well mannered and a very well tempered person with a pet pig.
She's kind of boring, which is fine, but all this show is meant to do is to stir up some stuff to keep one audience interested solely at the expense of your other audience that just wants to gouge their eyes out with forks.
Yeah. I mean,
not with forks.
With what?
With a spork.
There we go. Because you can get it in there and turn it and cup.
Yeah.
And then
All right.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's less painful, but still as painful as heck, I think. Scoop it out. Oh, God. I mean, sure, Alexa Bliss most of the time looks disinterested in Total Divas, the most that I watch anyways. I mean, thank God people like, say, Becky Lynch or even Charlotte doesn't want to do it. Because, like Becky said, she doesn't want to ruin her character's mystique going up on air and airing everything on air on the television whatsoever.
Hell, there's been people who said it was better when Paige and ADR were on it, for Christ's sake.
Well, that's because people like looking at train wrecks.
Yeah.
Which is another thing that Del Perro threw her under the bus yet again.
Well, Del Perro not just threw Paige under the bus. He threw her whole family under the bus.
Yeah, he did.
And then he had the nerve to say, "Yeah, I'll be back in WWE by 2019."
No.
The fuck you will.
No. Knowing Triple H, the moment you insult his nose, you're not gonna be in his good graces anymore.
Oh, leave old banana nose alone. It's fine.
Yeah. Leave his nose alone, you'll be fine. Or his shovel. Or his shovel for that matter.
I don't care about what dull asshole had to say. He's irrelevant. He's never drawn a dime. He's not very good. And he's essentially at this point living off the fact that his uncle is Mil Mascaras.
Number one. It. Number two, he worked for WWE. Number three, he dated Paige. That's it.
I actually, speaking of this miserable waste of oxygen,
okay.
I heard on the radio, on a random sports channel, on my local sports channel, they did a commercial for Family Values. And guess who the voiceover was?
Oh, no. Him?
Not ADR.
It was ADR.
Oh my God!
What are you thinking?
And it was a
What are you thinking?
voiceover for a for a federal agency,
Oh
and it
my
was
god!
ADR.
Oh my god! Did they not? Did they not check their
Word
facts?
circle. I need a barf bag.
Is
It was
the
an
people-
It was he
Is-
was talking about something about fatherhood and all that stuff, and I'm like,
Oh no! Coming
it
from
was-
a
was so bad.
father who divorced his wife and separated his kids just to run off with Paige.
Left his wife, allegedly to all of this.
Allegedly, yeah, okay.
He was married to his wife, has his children,
Uh-huh.
hooks up with Charlotte, and then leaves Charlotte to hook up with Paige, and then runs off with Paige.
Oh yeah, okay.
Divorces. It's one of the. He does not know what the meaning of family values is or what fatherhood is. Yet he's a voice of. It was all of the cringeworthy. It was all of it. It was disgusting.
And I think I saw an ad, a TV ad for that. I think Roman and Titus O'Neil also did those kind of ads, and coincidentally, Alberto Del Rio also did those kind of ads as well.
Guys, I was in the car. I almost just pulled off and just ended it all. Just when I heard it. Oh, it was so bad.
Yep, ADR was with Charlotte once. Yes. Surprise!
That's something I didn't know. And I'm surprised Rick allowed it to happen.
Well, really? you know what happens on the road. I mean,
it's not surprising wrestlers get to hook up with one another when they travel. So it's not really.
But like I said, that those are just locker room stories that have somewhat leaked out. But to me, just the whole bow on that story is that Alberto Del Rio is out there telling people across the land about family values.
It's not my fault.
Fatherhood.
It's not my fault. It's Paige and her family's fault.
Yeah, he threw them under the bus, drove the bus over him, backed it over him, drove it over him, backed it over him. There's nothing left of him.
I've never seen a 45-year-old man take as little responsibility as he has.
But I stand up to I own all my your ass. Your ass sucks buttermilk, and I may know one or two people that would pay to see it.
Ew.
I mean, if he comes back, I'm thinking if he comes back in 2019 or 2020,
he says he's retiring in 2019, so we got
if he's coming back
4 years, lay his ass around, and hopefully he'll disappear.
Who's going to pay him?
Not me. I don't want to pay.
I mean, this man has burned every bridge for every promotion he's ever worked for.
I'll say this out loud: the moment he crosses onto my WWE Network screen, I'll unsubscribe.
Well, there are matches with him in the vaults.
I don't want to watch it.
That's good enough.
Afterwards, if he comes back again, that's the time. Time to unsubscribe. Probably so. For the sake of my sanity, I can do that. Yes. If you guys don't believe me, I shall do that.
I believe you.
Oh my goodness.
He's just a waste of. I mean,
if he goes,
he ran out on WWE. He ran out on AAA, and
he ran out on CMLL.
Lucha Underground, which at the end of the day, his stuff in Lucha Underground may be his best stuff overall.
I agree. And I agree with that.
And
he knows.
But that was when the whole Big Nose promo started. It was when he was with Lucha Underground.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God he didn't make it all the way to your side of the world, MDS. And
I don't think Goto will take him.
I don't think Inoki even will take him.
Nope.
Probably.
If Antonio Inoki heard that New Japan was going to hire Alberto Del Rio, he would walk from Parliament to the to the Tokyo
dojo.
Dome
Or to the dojo itself.
to the dojo to personally beat the hell out of Alberto.
Oh, he would do a great Antonio on him. Great.
Yep.
I love it. Film at 11.
I'd say probably smaller companies like DDT
First of
Pro
all-
might take a look at Alberto Del Rio, but I don't want to wish companies like DDT Pro ill will on that one. Please
Well, how
don't.
about Pro Wrestling Noah?
Oh no. Just when they're about to come back out from what?
What's that one promotion there in Japan that does the overly sexual bullshit matches like the Battle Royal on the train?
Battle Royal on the train.
You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, I can't remember. Let me just.
The one that caused all that controversy on the nightly. That one.
Yeah, I forget the name of the promotion. They do gimmick stuff.
Yeah.
Like
that might be the only one in Japan that might take them.
Oh yeah. So surprising that the name is actually Train Pro Wrestling. Okay.
Sure.
No,
Train.
why not have him pull a train on ADR? Oops, did I say that out loud?
You did. Oh, well, it's actually Michi. It's actually Michi Pro Wrestling. I think that's the name. I think. Let me just check. Well, we do nothing in particular. I think so. Yeah. Yeah.
Is there anything else you guys like to cover?
We're just having fun shooting down ADR right now. And by the way, my wife is making homemade Belgian waffles, and she said, "Do not make me sick." She's making me breakfast.
Oh, that's good.
That sounds awesome.
That sounds delicious. Something that I should definitely do before I go to sleep, I think. So,
Is what, eat or have Belgian waffles? Which?
eat. Basically eat, of course. Not get Belgian waffles. I don't know whether any combi stores around here open for Belgian waffles. I can try, but I don't think so.
Hey, it's
Best
Japan. Anything is a possibility.
Go get yourself some takoyaki and you'll be happy.
If there is a stall for takoyaki, I think open at this time. The closest that I can get is probably udon or cheap stuff like dumplings and whatnot.
Hey, you can't beat a good dumpling.
Yeah, which I do love. Because I'm not gonna complain. Foods around here are delicious, even if it's cheap. Even if you get cheap stuff, it's still delicious. Stuff that is expensive, like roast beef, hell no. You only can get that once in a month or once in a year.
We need to wrap this up, guys. So,
Sure.
Adam,
I mean,
you got any plugs other than your Twitter and whatnot?
If you so choose, you can find me at PWFan02 on Twitter. Let me make sure that is absolutely correct. I don't want to give anybody false information.
I think it is correct. I can check it just as quick. Yep. No, 01.
01. PWFan01. You won't see my face. You will see the logo of the best damn college football program in the country, bar none.
No, don't start. We'll
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide off a cliff.
I think if I keep this going, I think
you can't get over the fact that 2 losses did not get you to the championship, to the college football playoffs.
I am just
Need I remind you, Penn State.
What about him? We housed them.
Yeah, but the thing about it is that Penn State won the Big Ten Conference with 2 losses and didn't go to the playoff either.
I said there was no further discussion to be had.
I think if I let you guys go on and go forth with the whole football thing, you're gonna have to make your own podcast for this.
Yes, I understand.
You two are gonna have to make your own podcast for this, arguing about American.
It would just be a fight.
Yes. Yep.
Because he thinks Nick Saban is Satan, and I believe Urban Meyer is, but that's beside the point.
Well, all that means is only one of us is right.
And I'm right. I'm older, therefore I am right.
No. Fair enough.
I'm not even going to get into it. If you want to follow me, I'm at PWFan01, Ohio State logo in there. I don't post much, but I'm there to talk about sports, wrestling, politics. If you really want to just get pissed off, whatever you need me there for, I'm able to. That's where you can find me.
All right, awesome. Yes, I agree. Hate to pull back a few minutes back. I agree that 7-Eleven's combi stores, the best combi stores in Japan. Get to a 7-Eleven store, you can buy anything there. Even chicken, even good chicken too, if you're lucky. Anyway, Taker, plug yourself.
You can find me on Twitter at Takers_Minion. You can follow me there if you want.
Mm-hmm.
There you will see an extra old picture of me. That thing's over 5 years old.
Oh, okay.
But you can always find me in the nightly and in the daily more so now because of my schedule. And we have the podcast that we always love to plug. The Two Guys One Sport.
Yep.
Keeping Up the Kayfabe. Rudo Radio, even though we don't know if they're back yet.
Yep.
On MLW Network, we have Conrad Thompson's 2 podcasts that we plug. And one of them is Something to Wrestle with Bruce Pritchard and Conrad Thompson. And the other one is What Happened When? And that's with Tony Schiavone and Bruce Pritchard.
Yeah.
And
Tony Schiavone and
Conrad Thompson. Excuse me. My bad, Conrad. My bad.
I mean, okay. I'll add a lot more. Okay.
And don't forget your disclaimer.
No, I'm not gonna say my disclaimer again.
Coward.
I mean, okay. You guys can catch me on Cage Side Seats on the daily as well as the nightly. My name is still there, Mr. Dr. Senju. You can also catch me on Twitter at BeckyGotBank666. As well as you can catch all of the unaffiliated podcasts that we promote. 2 Guys One Sport featuring Crazy Chris and George Atzaves. Violent Wrestling Podcast featuring Amber Zali and Prince Maxi Lopez, as well as an up-and-coming podcast with Don Sal Guzmano for Cedar Bridge Media. I love to plug you guys. Thanks in that. And as well as Dawson Report featuring Philip Bexley.
And we don't need to forget Squared Circle podcast either.
Of course, Squared Circle podcast featuring Dennis Cow, and of course, the whole Kate Side Seats affiliated stuff, podcasts. Listening to Bitter Boys Club featuring Brent Brookhouse and Ethan Paige, Not Your Demographic featuring Studying Stella and Enigma Erin. They're taking a break this month. Hopefully they'll come back. Love you girls. Keeping Up with the Kayfabe, Mark Riley, Jody May Esquire, and Jack King, as well as Bros Before Elbows with Anthony, Farron, and Tommy. Thank you guys for following me. Thank you so much. I can't thank you guys so much for following. If you guys are affiliated or not, just follow. I mean, there you go. That's just about it. This has been episode 29 of Shootin' the Breeze. Thank you, Adam Rice, for coming back again after so long. After long.
I just let TM know that if you guys ever need a body to sit in, give me a shout. I'm always up to talk pro wrestling.
All right, no problem.
As well as football. I'd love to just let you guys rip it up, and me just sitting in a corner, just yeah.
One of these weeks when the pro wrestling is just the dirt worst, we may just decide to do that.
Probably.
But hey, we're in Mania season. Everything in Mania season should be great.
Yes,
maybe.
Yes.
Well,
and thank you guys.
We'll see how things go after Rumble.
Yeah.
Let's hope the go home shows are good this week.
Yeah. Adam Rice, baby. You get a fine for that, Zed, just because you use baby. Thank you. Anyways,
I didn't say it. You pay the fine.
He pays the fine. Thank you guys so much in the chat for keeping company, giving good comments and all that. Loved you guys in the comment section, in the chat section. Actually,
don't forget to like, subscribe, like, and promote.
Yep. If you guys love this, if you guys love the show, like, subscribe, promo, like Taker said, of course. Let's see. What else?
That's pretty much it.
You sure?
All your like,
don't want-
subscribe, promote is down there at the bottom of the screen. So hit those buttons, and thanks for coming to play along, everybody.
Yeah. Again, thank you, Adam Rice. Again, I have to plug for the family of Los Ingobernables, their podcast.
That's right.
You guys are listening in right here, right now. We are going to do that. So that's it. This is episode 29, Shooting the Breeze. This is my house. It's not for sale.
That's right. It's done and over. See y'all later. Bye.
See you next week.